Hi everyone, you are listening to YachtFemme on Yachting International Radio, where we discuss women in yachting. Welcome to YachtFemme, where we talk about the women that make the yachting industry. I'm your host, Andrea Tagliaferro. Learn who they are, how they got into yachting, and what they do today. Meet Pascale, an award-winning yacht interior and exterior designer. In 2001, she established Reymond Langton with her partner Andrew Langton after working multiple years designing superyachts. Pascale oversees the design studio, seeing projects from their conception to their final stage. Pascale has a diverse creative background. She has a master's in art history, a degree in interior design and 3D design. She's a qualified archaeologist, has worked as an antique dealer, and even in the film industry. Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining me again at YachtFemme. I'm here with Pascale Reymond. Hi Pascale, thank you so much.
Hello, nice meeting you. Thank you for inviting me.
Where are you right now?
I'm actually in the beautiful city of Bath, in the West Country of England. So obviously this is not my hometown because I'm French, but I've been living here for quite a few years now, and it's beautiful.
Okay. So before we dive in, if you can give us a little bit of background of who you are, where are you from, and what do you do in yachting?
Yes. Well, I'm actually French. I was born in Brittany in the city of Saint-Malo, which is one of the very famous Corsair pirate city. And I'm a true Malouine. And many years later, when I finished my study at university in Paris, I decided to move to England. And it's why I've been living here for 35 years. So it's quite a long time. And a few years when I was in England, I decided to look for a job, a creative job. And I applied for a job doing some buying for a yacht designer. That's in 1989. That's quite a long time. And I thought, wow, that's an incredible industry. So within a year, I asked my boss if I could become a yacht designer in his studio. And he agreed. I became the senior designer in his studio. And in 2001, I decided to start my own Reymond Langton design with my business partner, Andrew Langton. And that's it. We are in business for 20 years.
Wow. Well, congratulations for all the success.
Yeah, thank you.
So can we, I know you already went through how did you get into the yachting industry, but maybe there's more to that story. Is there something else? What were you doing specifically? Was it high-end residential work? Was it commercial and then moving to yachting?
No, actually, before I became a yacht designer, I've actually done many jobs when I moved to England because actually my main background as a university in France is art historian and archaeologist. So nothing to do with yachting. And when I moved to England, I tried many jobs and I worked for an antique dealer. I went for a stained glass studio making stained glass windows. I worked for a film company when I was walking the red carpet in Cannes Film Festival every night. So I have a big experience of yachting, and a very strange story actually about the film festival in Cannes. It was 1988. It was a year when the film Trop Belle pour Moi came out, and I was in a festival, and I was with my boss, film studio director, and we were going to Monaco to the casino one evening after a premiere, and he said to me, hang on there, stop the car, we're going to have a walk in Antibes. So it was middle of the night, and I said, okay. And he was walking around this big quay with all these big super yachts. Well, it's a big super yacht at the time, like 50 meters, 40 meters. And I said, oh, what is it? You know, I was looking at it a bit blasé. And really, did I realize that really I was looking at my future? Because 3 or 4 months later, I started working in the yachting industry. So literally, I moved from the film industry to the yachting. And I was looking, it's like a premonition, you know. I was looking at all these yachts and yes, well, what is it? And I realized many years later that actually this is what I'm doing. This is my life. So it's interesting, life. It takes a funny turns. You never know what you're going to become. But sometimes it's signs telling you, this is your future.
Yeah, wow. I thought you had a similar background with me. I did architecture, but I also did architecture, interior design. Then I did this, then I worked with this crew. So it's always like a labyrinth to get to.
I think somehow in life, you can't be just one thing. You can be many things, and you can have many lives. And I think you want to focus on many different activities. that's what I've done. And I realized that being working for a film industry teach me to deal with the crowd and the glam of the, you know, premiere, and working for an art historian, an antique dealer, allowed me to know what antiques to buy and paintings. And stained glass windows. Well, now in my projects, I use a lot of artisan and craftsmanship, so I know exactly how you do it, so I can direct it better. So at the end, every expense matters, I think.
No, I'm with you. It's interesting when you meet some people that have had that, I don't know, those years of experience that they have done this, that, and then at the end, it all ties up in a big bow.
Exactly.
Can you take us through a work day? What is it a day at the design studio?
On the work day, I mean, this one is beautiful because the work day is different every day. I mean, we do travel a lot because we have a yacht being built in Germany, Italy, you know, Holland. So we're on a plane, not as much at the moment, but we are usually on a plane every week somewhere. So you have to count this part of your life which you're away from home, and you don't know what it is. Sometimes it's to go to the shipyard, sometimes it's to go to marble places in Italy to pick some marble, sometimes it's to go shopping in our dealer, or sometimes just to go to a client and do a presentation. So it's a lot of movement, and within this time you have still to have time to design. So it's really juggling, making beautiful design, draw it, present it. So as far as this job is really interesting because you touch every aspect of design. Because we do exterior styling, so we look at the line of the exterior of the line of the yacht, planning a boat from scratch from a blank piece of paper, or designing a piece of furniture, or designing fabrics or artwork. So yes, it's very varied. So my day is never the same. And of course I have a team to direct. So again, that's another thing, it takes time as well. So
then 2 questions for you. How far in advance do you plan your week? Is it monthly or do you?
Okay, it sounds like before what happened with the virus, I couldn't actually plan my year properly. I mean, it's a bit like the Queen. You have event, engagement, meetings months ahead, literally. Everybody wants to have a piece of you. So it means that every week I had something planned, a trip there, a meeting there, a deadline to follow. So it was really a full calendar for at least 4-5 months ahead. So it's why I could never secure dinner parties with friends, because sometimes I used to actually tell them, I'm not going to be there. So it's you have to love your job to do it, because if you want to have a private life and have a normal routine, you can't have one. So, I notice the time when you can really make plans is at Christmas period, because people, usually you have always good excuse, you have to go home, it's Christmas, so people won't disturb you too much. And Easter, because somehow Easter is important. But otherwise, most of the time, clients expect to see us anytime. In the summer, in the south of France, I mean, they're always on their yacht, they want to see you. So you have to be able to jump on the plane and just go meet them. So yeah, so you have to be, it's a life of spontaneity. It's planning, but at the same time, you have to be able to drop everything and go on the plane to see somebody.
Have you been able to move those interactions to virtual? Has the calendar kept going, but now with Zoom meetings and stuff like that, or are they on pause?
So at the moment, this virus is actually a disaster for the world. But at the same time, for my private life, it has been a little bit of a blessing, because I've never been in a place for such a long time. I mean, Andrea and I, we decided to go to France. We have a chalet near Megève, and the day before the lockdown, we decided to take a car, cross France, go to the chalet, and we spent the whole lockdown in Megève, in a chalet overlooking the mountain, and there was nobody, and we were there for 3 months. It was something we'd never done ever in our life, to be in one place, beautiful place, quiet, designing, no disturbance. That was heaven for us. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy you got to do something productive during the pandemic. Can you, I don't know, take us through what it is your design studio do? Like, does your work start that the client picks you? Is it a shipyard that recommends you? And then what happens next?
It's actually both. I mean, I think, first of all, we don't really advertise. We maybe put a one advertisement in a super yacht book once a year, and that's about it. I think the word we get is the word of mouth. Sometimes a shipyard who work with us and they have an inquiry and they call us. Sometimes it's a client who read about us and call us directly. It happened quite a few times. Just a phone call, something very simple, you know. You pick up the phone, I'm inquiry, I want to build a 90-meter. Are you interested? Do you want to meet me? And that's it, that's how it happens. So it's quite amazing. You have to be careful and to call your tech because it can be very important. And sometimes it's a broker, you know, some yacht broker will put forward a group of designers and you do mini competitions. So it varies, but it's always word of mouth. It's very rarely like we put an advertisement, people call us because they saw an ad or something. It really, really happened. Sometimes clients charter yachts we design and they like it and they want to know who has done the yacht. So it comes this way as well. Yeah.
Okay. And then after you get the client, what happens then? Is it like a strategy session meeting and then you propose something or?
Yeah, so when we get the client and they want, usually all our boats are bespoke. We design them from scratch, blank piece of paper. And sometimes they want us to do just inside and they have already an exterior stylist, or they want the whole yacht and we design the exterior also. And we start with a plan, profiles, develop a design on plan of the way they want to use a yacht and have it prepared for them to have a package they can set to a shipyard for pricing. And when they sign the contract with the yard, we carry on designing it and building it. And we design everything you see, you know, all the exterior line, all the planning, all the walls, furniture, everything you see is most of the time designed by us, yeah.
Okay, well, that's quite the undertaking.
It's quite a lot of work.
How long would it take? I don't know, 90 meters from beginning to end for the design, not the production?
The design, I think 90 meter, I think for designing it, we're talking about from the moment you sign a contract and you design it, we're talking about 18 months for actually designing it, exterior and interior. But of course, designing is one thing, but the beauty of it is making it happen. So the design carries through later during the production because you have to adjust and make sure everything is built the right way. So on total 90 meter, we took about 4 to 5 years build. Which include maybe the first 18 months designing. After this, the next 12 months, 15 months, maybe it's actually checking the production and go on site. And at the end, all the finishing touches, which is furniture, decoration, artwork, which always leave a bit last because you want to design to be still alive. You design at the beginning, but you want to leave some at the end. So the design is still growing and fresh. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also has so much stuff has happened that you have thought of other things to add because of the long process.
That's it, and because it's a long process, so sometimes you come with that idea as a new product that comes along, you see. So you always have to leave enough space before the end of the project so you can actually refresh the design which you've done maybe 8 to 2 years beforehand, because that's how it goes, you see. But the planning on yachting is not like buildings. It's shipyards are very strict with the timing and you have to respect it because a yacht will get built and eventually leaves the shipyard. A house doesn't. Even if the house is late, the house is still always in the same place. A yacht eventually has to leave the shed because it has a project coming. So the deadlines are very tough. You can't just design and build a boat for 5, 7, 10 years like you do a house. It's why it's a very meticulous and rigorous planning. And it's why it makes this industry superb, because everything is so precisely calculated and you're only dealing with the best craftsmanship and best people, really. So, because there's no margin to error, because it's not just a house, it's a machine, it's a transport as well. So, yeah.
Someone once described it, you're designing a home in the worst possible conditions. You have water, you have sand, you have this, you have movement, you have vibration, all of that, and you're making a luxury space inside.
That's right, that's what we do.
So you've been doing this for yourself or for your own company for, you said, around 20 years. What can you pinpoint? What has been your biggest accomplishment in yachting? I know you won a couple of awards, so it's hard.
It's quite a few things. I mean, first of all, to stay in business for 20 years when you started with nothing, because before I worked for a yacht designer for about 12 years, but when we started our company, we started with a blank piece of paper. We had no client, we had a few contacts, but nothing, no leads. And it took us about 8 months to sign our first contract. And I sold our house, and we really put all the money to launch ourselves in the Monaco Boat Show. And it was actually the month we launched ourselves was when it was 9/11, you know, and it was literally 10 days later, it was Monaco Boat Show, and we're starting a company in the period of world crisis, when everything, so it was actually quite stressful. We put all our money and we launched ourselves, and suddenly what happened in New York, it was like, oh God, this is the worst time to start a business. But we did manage to, and we eventually managed to get one contract, and got one contract, and after this, it's been a snowball. So to stay in business for such a long time, it's actually quite incredible. But the other thing which was a very big highlight was actually when we were already 2 years in business, and we had a few contracts we were building, but nothing was finished. And so I had to pitch for a very large yacht, 135-meter yacht called Serene. And I went to see the client at the time, who was a Russian billionaire, and along with other competitors who actually were very well established, and I was there, and they told me, and I had to show my portfolio of boat, which is only the renderings. I have nothing to show because we never delivered anything. And I got the job, 135-meter motor yacht, without having to show any finished product before. And that was amazing. That was a highlight because it was like, my gosh, how to get this sort of size project like that. Experiment is a very male-orientated industry, and I got it, and I beat everybody else. It was quite something. So when I came back to the office, I said to my guys, "Hey guys, we got the job." So they gave me this name called Giga Girl, you see, like, because it was Giga Boat, you see. So I was named Giga Girl. So that was quite important moment, I think. The
Wow.
big boat. Yeah.
That was, a big sale, but that was not your first sale, or what?
No, it was not the first, but you see, the thing is, it was, we had signed 3 projects beforehand, a 45-meter and a 50-meter, but they were in production, so nothing was finished, you know. They were like, so when you go to the sort of league of gigaboats, you know, this 135-meter yacht, it's another beast, you know, it's enormous, you know, it's one of the top 10 boats on the planet, you see, so it was quite something to get it. And the other thing I'm quite proud of for the company is yachting is a very, very male-orientated industry. I never really suffered from it, but you have to admit that literally the key players are men, you know, and they include yacht designers as well. And I would say that our company is 75% women. Mm-hmm. Designers, not just people just doing a bit of fabric. We're talking about designers. There's a large proportion of women in our studio, and we're one of the few who have so many women in the studio. So something important. That's amazing.
Well, we're so happy about that.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. You know, it's sort of I won't say the girl power, but it is a fact. You know, when I actually went to, you see, my name Pascale is. Girl's name is mainly boys, you know, Pascale. And when I got this project Serene, it's a 134-meter yacht, and it was built in Italy, just to give you an example. And they knew that the shipyard had this kick-off meeting in the shipyard, and they knew the designers arriving. So I arrived in the meeting for the first time in the shipyard, and they said, okay, the designer is arriving. I opened the door, and it was a big board meeting with about 40 people, all men, ready to discuss this very big, important project at Fincantieri. And I opened the door and said, it's a girl. They were expecting a guy called Pascale turning up. And as a woman turning up. It was quite funny.
That's really good.
It's a girl.
Well, I understand because my last name is Italian, and my
Andrea, it's a boy's name.
A boy's name, but
it's a boy's name.
That only happens in Europe. In Latin America, it's a girl's name.
No.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, let's dive into then the next question. Hopefully you have seen changes. What changes have you seen in the industry?
Well, as I said, the changes as I'm getting older, or the clients are getting younger, I don't know, but usually I become more and more the oldest person in the room when I meet clients. But otherwise, I think the change is a new trend. Is I think people really want to spend more time on a yacht. It's not just a short time for having a holiday. It's becoming more and more a place for family to gather. And I really say that during the lockdown, all our clients who actually we delivered yacht just recently, large yacht, spend the lockdown on the yacht with their family. All of them. Honestly, this is quite amazing. They have big houses in Miami, New York, and then didn't use any of their houses. They decided to take all their family, grandparents, grandchildren, and stay on a super yacht for 2 months. So that's quite amazing. And it means that it becomes a safe place. They realize that maybe ultimately it's become a safe place to be.
I was going to say, if you had someone right now coming to you, what changes would you do design-wise? You already named one. A lot of people think of their yacht and they're thinking of cruising it only in certain climates. Now you're thinking of all climates. So what other changes?
Well, the change, first of all, I mean, the very, very basic one is wardrobes. I mean, it sounds very cliche, but when you spend 6-8 months on a yacht, you have to have clothes for every seasons, you know. So you have no space for wardrobe. They want business centers within a yacht, because they're not just going to have a little office to do a few letters. They might run businesses from the yacht, and they want conference rooms. That's a very important thing as well. To be able to run. Sometimes they have young children and they might want to have classroom for their kids with tutors. I mean, I have done it before. So yes, it's changed the way you want to live and the way you use the yacht. And another trend I have noticed is on yachting, you have a master suite and guest cabins with a few VIPs. Now, the new trend, which happened only last few months, the owners really want not just one master and guest cabin. They want all the guests to be like masters, because why should their children have less than them, you know, and with balconies? So to make all the suites a bit more equal for a long period of time, I think that's what I noticed recently.
As a woman, have you seen any changes? You are already doing a big change with hiring such a high percentage. What else have you seen?
As a woman changes, I don't know. I mean, I think, because I was being in the industry, I've been in the industry since like 1989. It's a long time. For women's agenda, for example, maybe there's a few more women coming forward, definitely. But the key about being safe for women in the male industry is not to see yourself as a woman. And I never saw myself as a woman. I always saw myself as, you know what, I'm a good designer, I'm going to make it. And after this, you don't think about it. And people just, if you have the right answer, you know your stuff. It doesn't matter which gender you are. You have to believe in yourself, being good and convincing. And after this, everything fall into the right place. Because the yachting industry is actually quite a kind industry. It's not like movie stars and film industry. It's a very civilized industry, actually, at the end. Even if it's male, it's pretty civilized. And if you're a good person, you know your stuff, you're male or female, you know, you do okay. But never sort of pretend to be something you're not. If you do this, is where you expose yourself to discomfort, I think. So, but at the end, it's the product you deliver, and the more you deliver good product, people respect you, and that's the key, I think.
Yeah, don't lose focus and actually just work hard, and it pays off. Like you're saying, it is a tiny industry, and word of mouth is everything. So if you do a good job, people will always see you as an asset. But yes. I do have a story. When I worked at design, we worked at the shipyard itself. Like the owner made a building for all of us, so we would stay there. And I would be walking the yacht quite often just to see and like to take a break. And I remember the director of the welders would scream at me to get out. Andrea, it's not busy. All my guys are turning to see you, and it's dangerous. They're welders. And I'm like, okay. I wasn't dressed anything provocative. It was jeans and a loose t-shirt, but it was because it was the only one passing that everybody was going.
Oh. Oh, it's funny, it's a good story because I had the same problem. And one time I was in Turkey, Pascale, you have to stop walking through the body, stopping people working. They're slowing down when you're in the shipyard. I was thinking, oh, really? I didn't notice. So I know what you mean. Yeah, it happened to me.
You see, well, you get it. Oh, can you, we already got some great advice, but is there anything you wish you had known before? Like if it would be your first day in yachting, what would you wish that you had known back then?
Well, I mean, one thing for sure, never pretend to know something. That's a key thing in any business. Sometimes people are insecure and they want to show that they want to hide the fact they don't have the knowledge. And that's the biggest mistake you can make. It works for a certain time until you get to find out. Now, if you actually don't know too much, or you want to know, you ask questions all the time. People say, oh, look, she doesn't know anything. But what's happened is you catch up very, very fast. And suddenly you build a very good baggage of knowledge. And you leave the people behind and you go up there. You see, that's the thing. Never being worried about asking questions and appear stupid. Mm-hmm. You might be stupid at the moment when you ask a question, but you know what? You remember the answer and you can move on to the next one. If you don't ask a question, you never know, you never grow. So always be modest, curious, and not be scared to appear to be a bit ridiculous with your question, because that's how you go, that's how you do. And I remember when I started in the studio, I was with my colleagues, they were male college, and now they're my competitors actually, because when I was working for this yacht designer, I was with other designers, and they were young men, and I was started as a junior, and they said, oh, I didn't have as much experience as they did, and they felt a bit sorry, and it was always my question. Oh, here we go again with a question. Well, now they're my competitors, and I actually do more both than they do. So, and they say now, one of them said, Pascale, when I had to compete against you for any job, if it's you, I know I have to be careful because I know the chances you're going to get it. And there's a person who was very patronizing many years ago, like 30 years ago, when I was asking my question. He said, oh, poor you don't know anything. So yeah, it's what it is. You have to be curious and not be scared. Yeah.
And even the most senior people still ask questions. That's why they keep growing.
That's it. So good.
So Pascale, before we head out, do you have any hobby or any project or something that you would like to share with us? Something that we should keep in touch, or something personal you wanted to?
Well, project, I mean, it's honestly, we have many projects on the go, and some we finished just recently. I think one's a project which I finished just recently. I mean, we just done the inside of this yacht, but there's a boat which will be in the press, I think, before Christmas, called Artifact. And this yacht is quite incredible because this is the first yacht I have done, which, I mean, it's lived by a family. So it's going to be just a home. It's not just a holiday place. And so it's really catered for their need. And the thing is with this yacht, because of the amount of glass we have on this yacht, you have to worry about the acoustic, because it's one thing to design glass boxes, Mm-hmm. Anybody can do this, but you want to make sure the interior is still soft, comfortable, and you have a very nice sound within the space. And this yacht combines amazing glass structure with super cozy and comfy interior. So yes, this is something new, and obviously, hopefully, you will discover in the magazine. I don't know, coming December, I think, something good potential, I think. But anyway, yes, that's my latest one. But
okay, excited. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
We look forward to seeing many more great things from you in your studio.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to YachtFemme. If you like what you heard, please like, subscribe, and comment. Your comment will help us reach a broader audience. And don't miss the next episode. Bye!